Alright, do the intro. I got you.
Sickly.
Alright, good.
What the ending?
This video I'm doing, continuing the suspension on the G37, and I'm going to do the front springs, struts, and strut mounts. Here are the springs. These are the part numbers for the mounts. Everything's KYB. And we've got the front passenger shock and the driver shock, which is the same part number. It just says 21 instead. So this one's 20, and this one, the last number, is 21 on. Put my e-brake on. Did the rears, if you didn't see the last video. And this is how it's sitting now, way lower than before. This is with the 275, because one of the tires, the sidewall, is completely destroyed, so I have to replace it. So I'm going with 285s on the rear now. First thing I'm going to do is break my lugs loose on both sides. The lugs are broken loose, so I'm going to jack it up, jacking points with my adapter. Now I'm going to raise both sides of the car evenly, so the back wheels stay on the floor. Alright, I got the car up, jacked up evenly. I put jack stand underneath it as well, and about to get all the lugs off now. I'm working on the driver's side first. This wheel looks good. Off, the first thing I'm going to remove is this 12mm nut for the brake line. And this is off. And now that's out of the way. Push the nut back on there. Slip these two off. And slip this one off. The next thing to do is to get the end link nut off down here that holds the shock in. Stock size was either a 19 or a 17. Mine is a 21 because I have a Moog. Holding it, you have to hold the nut on the other side. Mine's a 18. I'm going to remove these three 12mm nuts right here in the top and the engine bay. They break loose pretty easy. You just need a short extension. On the strut bracket, you've got three 14mm bolts that need to come out. And this is holding the strut in. This is the ratchet I'm going with, both because it's a tight squeeze. I got a 3/8 drive with a short 3/8 socket, size 14mm. Put a pipe on your handle to help you out, because it's on there pretty tight. And it's broken loose. A pipe really helps out a lot, so I'd recommend putting a pipe on it. Once you got those two bolts off, you can just unscrew them by hand. So you can leave the top one in and just take out the bottom one. I'm gonna take the lower end link nut off. That washer back on there, because you're gonna need that. Now the shock will just come out of there pretty easy. Gotta carefully maneuver the whole assembly out of there. Watch your lines and get it out of there. It's kind of tricky. We've got it out of there. Spray some penetrating fluid on your nut that you got to release. To reuse this nut here, so I'll swap this over to my new one. Just catch it on there and leave it. So you need a spring tool. Press your spring a little. Make sure your locks are pushed down. When you release this nut, this is under tension, so yeah. Got one on each side, and I got all the locks secure and pushed in all the way. Now I'm just going to tighten down the ends to compress the spring. Ratchets, which make the job a little bit easier. Alright, I've tightened these down to take enough tension off. The top nut is a 17. It's going to impact it off. And it should just pop off. And there you go. Slide our old shock out. For spring comparison, the old spring versus the new spring. New spring is a lot thicker, as well as a little bit shorter. Going to be reusing the bump stop. And the shock cover. I'll also be reusing the upper insulator. Brand new mount. Make sure all these are pressed in, sometimes they're not. I'm gonna slip it on there. Also put some grease where the spring seats. This works. There's not much room to work with on this spring. Now I'm going to be tightening it manually. Compress this with the spring compressor a lot to get the top stud to come through, and the torque for this nut is 44 foot-pounds. Thread locker on it. Tighten down our new nut to 44 foot-pounds. Clamped it in the vise to hold it, and I put a thick shirt so it doesn't scratch the spring, and then I'm holding the shaft with a 5/16, and then using a flat wrench, and that's how I tighten it down, how far I have it right now. And now I'm about to torque it. That should be good. I'm gonna pass the whole assembly under and through all the brake lines. I gotta push the shock through and then catch the nuts. It's held up enough to get that in. You catch these bolts back. For these 3 bolts to hold the shock mount on, I'm just going to put thread locker. From the size of it, I'm going to assume they're around 50 foot-pounds, because I don't know the torque specs on it. The shock bracket bolts are back in. Tighten these down as much as I can by hand. I'm going to put my end link back in. Alright, there it goes. The bolt is through. That's what I was waiting for. Now I'm going to torque these 3 bolts first, and then I'll do the end link last. So, I put thread locker and I'm getting the end link nut back on, and I'm going to torque this down to 120 foot-pounds. Got to get that one back in as well. There it goes. The upper end link nut is 74 foot-pounds for all-wheel drive. I'm torquing the lower one. The lower one is 60 62 foot-pounds, whether you're all-wheel or rear-wheel. And that was 67. Gonna put these back on. Where'd they go? Did this slip back on there? And on the other side, bracket back on. I put blue thread locker already, and then catch your nut back on. That nut, we've tightened it to 16 foot-pounds. And that's torqued. The final thing to torque are your 3 nuts up here to 28 foot-pounds, and then that's it. So you can torque these all 3 of these down to 28 foot-pounds. Then you clean up any grease or anything, clean up your spring. Mine's pretty greasy. And clean up your rotor. And make sure your brake shield's not rubbing, because then you'll have an annoying sound. And put your tire back on and torque your lugs down to 80 foot-pounds. Alright, the suspension is all done now.